Hello, dear viewers. On this video, we're gonna see 6 steps to write essays for the CAE examination. Let's begin. Step 1. Identify the general topic and the main issue at the beginning of the exam task. Let's read it. You have listened to a discussion on how people in richer countries can be made more aware of poverty in other parts of the world. The very general topic is poverty, and the main issue is something more specific. In this case, how people in richer countries can be made more aware of it. It's important to notice these two things because this will help us structure the introduction. Let's take a look at the introduction now. And it says, there exists today an ever-widening wealth gap between different parts of the world, with an increasing number of people living in extreme poverty. Urgent measures are needed, and the first step must surely be to raise awareness in richer countries of just how desperate the situation is. To achieve this, there would appear to be 2 possible approaches. Notice that the first part of the paragraph deals with the general topic, poverty, and the second part talks about the main issue, raising awareness in richer countries. It's a good idea to structure the paragraph this way because then the main issue is going to be closer to the paragraphs that are going to explain it. Also notice the references to both topics. For poverty, we have ever-widening wealth gap and increasing number of people living in extreme poverty. And for the main issue, raise awareness in richer countries. So the introduction is appropriate. Let's take a look at step 3. Notice that you are given 3 topics, but you have to talk about only 2 in the body of the essay. Remember that a cohesive paragraph deals with only one idea, so this means writing 2 body paragraphs. In this one, media and education are discussed. Which one should you choose? Well, the ones that you are more familiar with, the ones you know more about. In this case, you will need less time to think and you'll be able to use more technical vocabulary. Let's see how this is done in the sample essay. First, make sure you write a topic sentence. Then, the following sentences should be about the same issue. You have to write references concerning the topic sentence. Thus, your paragraphs will be cohesive. Let's read the paragraphs to see if they meet these requirements. Firstly, the media could cover world poverty much more frequently and in far greater depth. Currently, television rarely focuses on this human tragedy, despite the awful conditions in which hundreds of millions of people spend their entire lives. Regular, in-depth reports, however, would surely bring it home to viewers that this appalling situation never goes away, leading to greater pressure on governments to take steps such as increasing overseas aid. We can notice that there is a topic sentence. It talks about the main issue, the media, and it doesn't have too many details, but it introduces 2 ideas, the frequency and the depth that media coverage should have about poverty. If the topic sentence introduces some ideas, there should be references to them in the paragraphs. So for frequency, we have rarely and regular. And for greater depth, we have in-depth reports. As for the references for the media, we can see television, reports, and viewers. What about the other paragraph? It says, schools could also have an important role to play. Although it is essential that pupils are taught about the social problems of their own country, attention should also be paid to the difficulties of those, especially children, in poorer nations. Students need to learn why such terrible living conditions exist, both by studying the history of those countries and by looking at the political, economic, and social factors that make poverty so difficult to eliminate. At the beginning, we see a topic sentence. Schools could also have an important role to play. It mentions the general issue, schools or education, and role to play. But it doesn't have any details. The details come later. So what are the actions that schools must do? Well, we have teaching the social problems of their own country, but also of poorer nations by studying the history of those countries. So we can see that both these examples are very well written. Each paragraph focuses on only one idea, and both mention how the approaches can be used to raise awareness. Let's see step 5. Observe that the task will ask you to be in favor of one of the two topics and support your opinion. The place to do it is the conclusion. In this case, you have to explain which would be more effective. But it could say, explain which one is more significant, more important, more influential, etc. Let's consider the conclusion to see how this works. It says, nevertheless, relying on the education system would take many years to bring results, whereas change is needed right now. It should also involve the whole population, not just young people. Only the media can have this immediate impact, and nowadays it is only the media that almost everyone pays attention to. Even though you have to mention which one is better, you can still say something against the other option. What are the downsides of education? Well, it would take many years and it doesn't involve the whole population. Then you can give an argument for the option you choose. The media can have this immediate impact and everyone pays attention to it. Actually, it's the same information but reversed. Education is slow, the media is immediate. Education does not involve everybody. On the other hand, the media does. But it's okay, it helps reinforce the argument. However, you could just give the reasons why one of those two issues is better. As we can see, the task contains everything you need. Fortunately, all essay tasks follow the same structure, and now you know which part goes in the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. As you write, it's very easy to get distracted and forget about what you have to discuss. I have read many essays where students end up talking about other issues, especially in the conclusion. I suggest going back to the exam task as many times as you need to make sure you are covering all the sections and with the information required. To conclude this video, I have 2 more pieces of advice. For the title, don't use the same phrase from the exam task. Be more creative, or at least rephrase it. And the same goes for the vocabulary employed throughout the essay. Whenever possible, don't repeat phrases exactly as they appear in the exam task over and over again. For example, the word poverty, which is very important for this essay, appears only 3 times, and 2 of them have descriptors. For example, world poverty or extreme poverty. So they are not exactly the same. And we can read many other ways to express or refer to the concept of poverty. For instance, ever-widening wealth gap, awful conditions, human tragedy, appalling situation, poorer nations, such terrible living conditions. It's very important to show that you possess a wide variety of vocabulary. Therefore, once your text is complete, read it and spot repeated words and phrases so you can substitute them. Thank you for watching. See you next time.